begin for us to discuss about the knowledge in the topic of this week. So, to differentiate the true knowledge from the Buddha nature, we have to realize that the real knowledge is detaching yourself from knowledge. When you're practicing the patriarch stance, you will automatically detach yourself from all these knowledge. When you raising doubt, asking questions, when the doubt arising, it will automatically strip away these thoughts and knowledge arising in your mind. That is the wisdom of your practicing. If you follow the Buddha, Dharma, you need to practice to detach yourself from all those knowledge and all the thoughts arising in your head. And that is the right way, the right path that you follow. You don't attach yourself to anything, even the Buddha. You even have detached yourself from the concepts of being a Buddha. Even the knowledge from the Buddha nature, you also have to detach yourself from those. You have to be careful. Don't attach yourself to anything, even the Buddha knowledge, because when you're detaching yourself from all this knowledge, that is the right way, the right path in your practice. If you have any questions or anything that you want to share, any experience that you want to share, go ahead and ask. Raise your hand. The host will unmute you. Could you please explain what is the right Dharma? What is the right way to practice the right Dharma? So the right way to practice, the right way of Dharma is detaching yourself from any thoughts, anything arising from the head, all objective, subjective thinking arising in your head, are just the illusions. You just need to follow your practice, asking questions, raising doubt, and detach yourself from all those thoughts arising in your head. Just like in the sutra, the Buddha always taught us to go back to your practice, because only the practice is the way that you can detach yourself from all these thoughts, all this knowledge created by your mind. You don't worry about anything. You don't do anything else but go back to your practice. So detaching yourself from other knowledge is the main true Dharma that you should follow. Is that understandable? When I'm listening to you, um, uh, Buddha Dharma is a non-dualistic Dharma. But when I'm reading or listening to Dharma, I feel like there are many Dharmas, and it's feel like it's not a dualistic Dharma at all. Could you please give us some encouragement for this manner? So it's just because the habit depends on your attachment to the Dharma. You always follow the thinking instead of the practicing. The Buddha using the mean to help all practitioners to practice and go back to their Buddha nature. Even though there's a lot of means, a lot of ways to practice, but it doesn't mean that it's a dualistic state of mind. Because you still disbelieve your own Buddha nature. You don't believe in your Buddha nature completely. That's why you see all the Dharma, all the Buddha Dharmas. Seems like there's a lot of those in Buddha, a lot of thoughts in Buddha Dharma. That is your attachment to the Dharma. You run after the knowledge and you attaching yourself to the knowledge instead of going back to the practice. The Dharma has no origin. The Dharma has no ending. When you say so, the Dharma has no birth or death. How can you say it's in a dualistic state of mind? When you say you're not attaching to anything, which means you're attaching to that concepts already, of not attaching. You're attaching to your not attaching concepts already. And that is the mistake for all practitioners. That's why all the patriarchs encourage you to go back to your practice, asking questions and raising doubt. That's all you need to do. The doubt will help you to sweep away all these thoughts and all this knowledge arising in your mind. Go back to your practice. Is that it understandable? Are the motions or the stillness happening around you? Seem like two things happening, but just because of your ignorance mind, you see those are the two different things. But if you go back to your Buddha nature, go back to your practice, you will see that everything are the same. It's all the illusions created by your mind. So in all situations, you just go back to your practice. Even it's the end of this world, everything will be destroyed. You still stick to your practice, go back to your practice. Because all these dreams, all these creations of your mind are nothing that you have to worry about. When you get enlightenment, everything's gonna be normal. Birth and death won't be bothering you anymore. Everything is just the creations of your mind. And when you reach this state of mind, you won't worry about anything. Everything will be normal. You just pay attention to the practice. Pay attention to your own detachment of yourself and of these thoughts. Is that understandable? Let's do about 10 minutes. If you want to ask questions or share your experience in practice, go ahead, raise your hand. I want to ask another questions. When I was in the emergency room in the hospital, and there are 2 patients in this room, and the hospital allowed the relatives to come to take care of these 2 patients. So in the hospital, there's 2 doors connecting to the patient's room, and I saw the father and daughter. The daughter was a patient, and the father came to take care of his daughter. So they are trying they are chanting the sutra, and they seeing something at the windows, but she couldn't see anything. So both the father and the daughters tried to chant the Buddha Sutra. And in the morning, father and daughter asked her about the circumstances. Did you see there's a person standing in the window? She said no. And she was scared a little bit about the situations. And she wanted to ask if this is just like illusions of the mind created by the mind, and ask for some words of encouragement. And yes, that is something that you're thinking about too much. And when you're thinking about something too much during the day, at night, sometimes you see things created by your mind like a real thing. Right? It's just like a person at night when you see just a rope on the roof, and they thought that was a snake. And they feel like a real snake was on the roof until somebody took them to the place and showed them that's just a rope. And that now they realize it's just a rope. It's not a snake. So the father and daughters in the hospital, sometimes they're thinking about something too much. In this case, it's just like a death. It thought about a death too much. And they saw something in front of the windows. And that's just a illusion created by your mind. So when a person is close to their death, sometimes they're thinking too much in their mind. They could control their mind during these times. They see all those old experience, all the past that they had been through, and all those will be created back. And they feel like scared of what they have done in the past. And it's just like killing animals, eating their flesh, and all those will be created back at this time. And they feel scared because of the revenge of those animals on them. So sometimes patients, when they close to this kind of situations in life. They might thinking back of all the past they have done, all the things they have done in the past, and they feel scared because all those things will be created back by your mind and making you feel like it's a real thing is happening. And you're attaching yourself to all those thoughts. And you feel scared at this time. So for all the patriot practitioners, if you're facing these situations, you must go back to your practice. You try to practice and gain your experience in your practice. So when you're facing these situations, you don't be scared of all those illusions created by your mind. Is that understandable? Go ahead and ask questions. Could you please about impermanence world that we are in? When you're living in this world, we're talking about permanent and impermanence. They are just like two faces of the dualistic world. We always in the dualistic mind. When you talk about birth and death, you talk about the nirvana. When you're talking a good, talk about a bad. So you always attach yourself to all these concepts or all these thoughts arising in your head. So your mind is always changing and running. After all these changes will create this dualistic world. So if you attaching yourself to all these thoughts arising in your mind, you're gonna be in trouble. So because in a second that you cannot breathe in or breathe out, you will be in another life already. And all these attachments that you had will create another life, another body in another life automatically. It's just because you attach yourself to this thinking or the thoughts called self. That's why you always in the samsara. It's a circle of life and death happening all the times. So when you realize the suffering in your life or in this world, to make a vow to go back to the practice, learning the Buddha Dharma, and back to the practice. And if you practice diligently, you will detach yourself from all these knowledge, all these thoughts arising in your mind. And if you go on a wrong path, you won't be able to detach yourself from anything, but you will attach yourself to more and more. All right, so go back to your practice, asking questions you had problem. Running out of time, so I will see you sometimes later.